More interesting additions that you've had is Isaac, or is Isak?
Isaac.
Isaac.
Not spelled that way. The S sounds like a Z. Isaac.
Isaac. Okay. So from Australia, tell us about his story, how you were able to get him here, and then what has he shown you so far?
His story, background, when I was at Texas, I was fortunate to coach Mike Dixon. Then when we signed Mike's cousin, Ryan Bucheski, and then he also then transferred to SMU when I went to SMU. So I've had 2 Australian punters before. I have a strong relationship with the guys from Pro Kick in Australia, and it's a whole continent of young men that grow up playing Aussie rules and running and kicking and doing that. So there's a lot of talent there. The timing came about with needing to add another punter on the roster late in the spring, past the signing periods and things like that. So when you looked in the States, a lot of those guys had already been collected and signed places. So they have a grouping of guys that they groom and train, and hey, this guy's ready or this guy's not, and things like that. So I reached out to those guys and said, hey, do you have someone that's ready to go? And Isaac's name came up, and he made the transition. He graduated. It's called university in Australia instead of college. He graduated from university, so he's a college graduate, and has a year remaining. And then we'll see how the rules hold up as far as what you're allowed to do and not to do. If you start playing for 12 and 17 and 18 years of college football, we'll see if that's allowed. But he may have 1 or multiple years remaining, so we'll see how that goes. Transition, he graduated in late June. He got here in late July, so he's been here 2 or 3 weeks. First time he's punted a football with football players around him. He's kicked the ball a lot of times with Aussie rules players trying to hit him. But this is the first time with 21 other people on the field, bodies flying around. He's doing a good job adapting to that.
And then with an international prospect, are there any like challenges as far as visas or just getting him over here to the United States?
No, the guys that handle that on the other side of the pond do a tremendous job making sure that they're where they need to be academic-wise, getting their visas, their I-20, all the stuff that goes on with that. Those guys are really good with that. And the department here at the university was really good in working with those guys to get that all squared away. So that was a very seamless transition. The people on campus here did a hell of a job.
Michael? A question about Lovison and then another one about something else. But is there a learning curve for him in terms of understanding the rules of the game, things he can or can't do, or you're just kind of telling him, hey, kick the ball?
There's a few things. A great example the other night where we're doing some backed up punt work of like, hey, this big white stripe behind you, you cannot put your foot in that area at any time. That's a rule. You can't step off the field to be the first one to touch the football. So there's little things here and there. It's basically the analogy of if you went on your street in your neighborhood and just went and kicked the ball where no cars are around, it's pretty easy. Go stand in the middle of I-20 at about 5 o'clock and do the same thing. It's a little bit different environment, so he's getting used to that environment. But that's a good question.
Sure. And then it looks like you've got a pretty heated competition for a place kicker between Michael and the freshman, I presume. How do you assess that?
There's a competition at kicker and punter right now, and that's really good. In my opinion, unless you have a young man like Loop that is established, he's done it, has a lot of reps at it, having competition right now is good because that means you've got 2 pretty good ones. And it could be competition of like, this guy can't kick it, this guy can't kick it, and you're going with the worst alternative. We're not there. At punter, we have a very good competition going on, and at place kicker, we have a very good competition going on. And those guys know it, and it's making them better. I always kind of laugh when sometimes in a practice, you'll get the whole team up and guys will start throwing water bottles and make noise. This is a pressure kick. Every kick's a pressure kick. Every kick matters.
Nathaniel and then one. Sorry, backwards. Nathaniel and one.
Yeah, Ian Wagner is another one of those guys that transfer over here. What has he shown since coming over here, and how's he competing so far as well?
He's been amazing. He was a guy that was 1 more year to play. He went to high school in Illinois, but his parents' family are down here through the military, so this was close to home for him. He's got an extremely big leg, so he brings us some assets there to use. and very welcome addition. What we're doing, he's doing extremely well. He's also working some hold work as well, and trying to find a guy that can do that we can rely on. Michael did it last year, did a really good job of it, but trying to groom some other holders, he's really stepped up and done well there. So very pleased with where he's at. And
Juan and then Justin.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but
Spurs, I love it. Good stuff right there.
There we go. But how hard is it to replace a kicker like Tyler Loop, where maybe you get to midfield, you're already in field goal range? How hard is that to do?
You don't kick it from there. You kick the distance your guy can make. I mean, there's very few guys that are playing that league right now that's the leg he has. So it's not as easy. You just get a first down and then kick it when you move up if you have to. But those guys are doing a really good job being themselves. It's not their job to be Tyler Loop. They're not him. It's their job to be the very best version of themselves that they can be to contribute to winning the battle of field position and us winning football games. And those guys have embraced that role.
Justin and then Jason.
The positive is Michael, who was around, was able to learn from him and pick up some things along his way, and which was really cool.
Justin and then Jason.
As far as the other special teams units, it looks like Luke Wysong as a returner and other spots. It looks like he could be a contributor. What have you seen out of him, and what can he do for those units?
He can do a lot of things very well. He's a guy with extremely high motor. He's played a lot of snaps in a lot of different roles. So maybe it's a gunner on punt, a jammer on punt return, covering kickoffs, doing whatever he needs to do. He's a guy that you wish you could put him on all four units, but he's going to play a decent amount of offensive snaps. So making sure he's at his best to be productive on special teams units and still be obviously what he's going to mean to the offense, he's a good guy to have because he's got a lot of skills, and those skills hopefully will be more tools in his toolbox. So as guys at the next level look at him, they know he's a guy that can come in and be part of that little roster they have and can do a lot of things.
And then you've talked about how special teams can be used as a way to get on the field for some of the younger guys who may not be in the starting mix. Who are some underclassmen or newcomers that have really stood out in that space?
Hard to say right now because we're still early. As we start getting into it and guys start earning their roles offensively and defensively, then that kind of is a pool I can draw from. We do a lot of work with training fundamentals and skills, and we start building this next week to two. We'll start being more full team unit work. So we'll see some of those things pop out. So I know Swade Griffin's been a guy that's been running around and doing some good things. Coleman Patman has showed up doing some things on units with that. But I would give you a better answer about a week and a half from now.
Jason Sheeran and Troy.
Kind of on that note, are those conversations easy or difficult when you're telling a freshman, look, if you want to play, special teams are probably more important than they've been your entire career?
No, because the big buy-in comes down to I can give them examples of guys I've coached other places that are on NFL rosters right now, and one of them being based on what he did as a freshman on special teams. Josh Thompson was a freshman for us at Texas. He's currently on the Falcons roster right now. He's a hell of a DB, but he's carved a niche in the NFL because he's a tremendous special teams player. When Deshaun Elliott, who was a junior, Michael Dixon was a junior on the number one punt team in the country, he was a gunner on that punt team. So when people watch tape of those two guys to evaluate, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? So when they came back the following spring, they came back the following fall, they knew who he was because he established himself on teams. So not only does it help guys blend to us winning football games and reaching our goals, it also puts tools in their tool belt once they get to Sundays to find a way to stay on that team and extend their career.
Troy and then Michael.
Two questions. So first, a guy like Michael Salgado, maybe that's kind of working punting game, kicking game. What have you seen out of him that makes him so calm in those situations where you're trying to compete at two different spots?
I think it's good in the fact that he has the ability to do that. We have to be smart with the volume that we ask him to do it both, so don't overdo one or the other. And it's also a really good deal. If, let's say I'm having a day that's not my standard kicking, I can always go, man, I can work on punting and do those things. It's a good balance to do both of those. But that's hard. It's not easy to do. And it's not easy to do as the season goes on. But if somebody's talented enough to do that, he is.
And then for the gunner position, what's your ideal gunner? What do you look for in a guy that's going to play gunner?
Got to run and hit. Run and hit. Cover ground. Run and hit.
Michael and Jason Barr.
2 questions. The first one, what is your assessment of the operation so far? You know, snap, hold, kick, or snap, hold, punter?
Yeah, early in camp, we were looking at the ball. Saw the laces. We read the Wilson. We found out where it was made. We looked at the laces again, and then we kicked it. It was not good. Greatly improved. Operation times are really good right now. I'm happy where they're at. And that was a build-up from having new holders. That's just part of it, with bringing you guys in who did not hold the entire spring and things like that. So there's an adjustment with that. But we're on par where we need to be right now. I wasn't real fired up that early.
And to what extent are you involved in like working on the mechanics with a kicker? Like, are you
Great question.
At film with those guys and be like, hey, if you adjust this or that, or I noticed this.
I'm not the ego guy that stands up and then says, I am the end-all, be-all knower of kickers and punters. Those guys are all trained from some really good people. So I refer to those guys. I share film. They look at film. I talk with those guys like, hey, here's an issue. Give me some feedback. Give me some of your thoughts, because those guys are the best in the country at specifically that. So I rely on those guys heavily. And every guy has a really good coach they've come from. That's part of getting the right guys as well, of what they've been told the entire time. Again, I'll go to baseball because I was going to go to baseball. Pitchers grow up with being told one thing. When they go to another organization, they may tell them something completely different, and you wreck them. Guy grows up with a certain swing pattern. He does what he does. He's successful. He goes somewhere else. Somebody else thinks they have all the answers. They screw him all up. So what you've done to get you to this point is got you here. That's what we should be relying back on, because that's the young man we saw on tape. So it's my job not to screw it up.
Jason Barr and then Justin.
Yeah, apologies, I wasn't here for the first part. I understand you might have talked a little bit about.
You didn't miss much.
Okay. We're doing a story on BBC Station in Tucson, Lee Wagner for our football special because of his Sierra Vista ties. So before I ask you about him, where is he at right now? Is he battling for the kicker position? What's his specific position battle right now?
Right now, he's in the mix. He has an extremely strong leg. If we played tomorrow, he'd be our kickoff guy.
Kickoff guy, okay. And what are his strengths? What does he bring to the team?
He's got experience because he's played. He's kicked. He's place kicked. He's punted. So he's got a lot of assets that he has right there. So he can fill some roles as a backup, and he can do some pretty good things when that ball gets teed up to start a football game.
And his story of how he came here, because he's originally from Sierra Vista, but I think he plays Golden Years, so I think that's why he went somewhere out in the Midwest and then played at Illinois State. What's the story of, he was in the transfer portal, did he reach out to you, the story of what brought him here? Please?
Yeah, I just relied on connections I have through the industry of like, hey, who's the guy that you have that's still looking for a home, that's in the portal, things like that. And one of the coaching training guys that are really good said, hey man, this guy's out here. He's still looking for a home. The connection of where he grew up was big, because we'd always like to have local guys and guys represent the state that are from the state, and that's amazing. So it was just a perfect fit.
I have a question to Justin.
The plan at long snapper for those two guys, what do you see?
Yeah, it's been great. Avery Salerno's come in. He was a HBC All-American at Jackson State, and he's every bit of that. He's really good. And that was an issue in the spring. Sorry, but you did a hell of a job. And if we need you, I'm still coming to you, because you got ability.
I'll be ready.
Okay? But he's done a really good job there, and we brought in Broden Mullen as well, a freshman that's competing well for that. So I feel really good where we're at with both of those young men. And we also identified some other guys on our roster that play other positions that can also do it, that we're working with, that can give us some really, really good depth if need be.
And then, sorry, lastly, going back to Isaac, his frame, his build, is that ideal build for a punter?
His nickname in Australia was Captain America from his coaches. So, yeah, he's built well. And if you think about it, those guys grow up playing Australian rules football. So you're lifting and running like a linebacker, basically. So those guys usually are pretty good build and things like that as far as that goes. Not that punters from the States are that way, but if you play another position as well and the guys that are really good train the right way, but sometimes guys don't. Those guys out there lift and train like linebackers.